This is the fourth week of Lent, and the days seem to be going by very rapidly. There are only 11 days now until Palm Sunday. The word Lent, according to Webster's dictionary, is defined as springtime. That implication is that there's new growth, there's renewal, and there is refreshment. We're very fortunate, I believe, in the geographical region in which we live, where we have very mild winters. And here, the trees, the cactus, flowers, the shrubs, the bushes, they stay visible to us. They stay beautiful, and their colors are very easy to see. And we never doubt the beauty of creation here because we can see it, and it reminds us of God's goodness. However, I recall some of the days when I lived in Chicago. And I'm here to tell you I've never been as cold in my life, and I hope I'm never that cold again. Days and weeks of gloom, dark clouds, temperatures below freezing, and sub-zeros. There was no sign of spring in any way during those days, weeks, and even months. The trees were stripped bare, and their poor naked limbs whipped around in that cold wind. It seemed like spring would never arrive. But I can tell you that when spring began to arrive, it was such great joy to see even a weed put its head up to the snow-laden lawns, and to see that the weeds come up through the cracks in the cement. It really was assuring that there was new hope and new life and new growth. There was a sense of Lent in that it means springtime. I wonder, as we practice the realities of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, which are the traditional and admirable exercises in this season, how are we doing? How are we doing with what we said we would give up for a little while, or we promised to try not to do? But relatedly, I would ask us, how are we doing with the things that we've said we're going to try to do more of or do better of, things perhaps that we've put off, we haven't accomplished, maybe reaching out in kindness, a call, a note, an email, a text, something like that. How are we doing with these exercises? It is amazing to me to realize that in the sacred scriptures told us in Matthew and in Luke, Jesus promises to the disciples that he will teach them his prayer, and we call it the Our Father, or the Lord's Prayer. I wonder, in our private prayer time or in our communal prayer times, how many times have we said, maybe not prayed even, this Lord's Prayer? I find the whole prayer challenging. But there's a particular line for me personally that I sometimes have to face in the intensity of my privacy inside of myself, trying to examine my own conscience, how I'm living my own life. And that's the line which our Lord gives to us, which says, "Thy kingdom come and thy will be done." I sometimes find that a real challenge, in that I sometimes want my kingdom to come. I want my will to be done. And to put myself aside to allow God's kingdom and his will to be done can really be a very real challenge. And I don't think I would be alone in recognizing that. In another section of the Gospel of Matthew, we find our Lord in the Garden of Gethsemane. And it is in that agony in the garden that I think we see Jesus' full humanity. We see a person there who is scared. We see someone who is frightened and lonely. We see someone who has been abandoned. Even his closest friends have run off, left him alone. It is an image and a reality of the humanity of Jesus. And in that garden, with all of those human characteristics and those dynamics playing in his heart and his mind, we find him saying to the Father, if I don't have to do what you're asking me to do, if I don't have to fulfill this will of yours, let it go, let it pass. I wonder, in our humanity, how many times have you and I perhaps echoed these words of our Lord in our own gardens of Gethsemane? We're frightened. Something's happened in our family that we don't understand. It's unsettling to us. Maybe even makes us angry, disappointed. Trouble in the workplace. Maybe somebody there or in our family or in an organization to which we belong has sold us down the river. We've been abandoned. We've had people turn on us. And in honesty, I think we have to admit we also can have done that to other people. It's sometimes a real moral and spiritual challenge to say, thy kingdom come and thy will be done, because I have to put my own aside. When I try to do that, I find myself sometimes very pleasantly surprised at the peace and the grace and the beauty of Lent. Remembering that word means springtime, and the implication of new growth and refreshment and renewal. So as we try to put ourselves aside and pray for God's kingdom and his will to come to its fullness even here on earth, I think we find some of those dynamics present to us. And so the Lenten reality of springtime can be found no matter the season. Fall, winter, spring, or summer.